Are you tired of the mainstream media lying to you every single day? You are not alone. Millions of other Americans are sick of the corporate media fake news of the MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, New York Times, other Times, Washington Post, Political. Every single one of them are in the bag for the Democrats. They are all Team DNC. But now you have another option in independent creators like here on the CASHLOREN show. Well, we will go and we will expose the deep state, these unelected bureaucrats, and the mainstream media, along with the Democrats and their friends in the Rhino Uniparty, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Get the facts on the CASHLOREN show. I am your host, America's Truth Teller, shining a bright red light on the corruption and the hoaxes from the mainstream media and the Democrat Party. You're not going to want to miss a single moment. Join the American First Movement Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the CASHLOREN show.
In 2025, we find ourselves in a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage on all three of the major networks, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service, it's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
The deep state has decided that they are the ones that do the federal government, not your elected president, Donald J. Trump. As they've been trying to usurp and take away his authority as your president through their judges and through these other people who are deep inside the deep state, like what happened with the jobs report today. As this corrupt bureaucrat was brought over from the Joe Biden administration, and they gave these job reports that were very underestimated and then rolled them deeply back in the one direction, making it look like Donald Trump was doing bad. The day started out today with Donald Trump with the panicking saying that they were wrong. I see that the deep state and the Democrats, they think that they need to penalize you for electing Donald Trump to be your president of the United States when they told you that all the damage he would do to our country. They told us the economy would crash. They told him, that America couldn't survive, that there would be a depression, unlike the world in the United States has seen before. But none of that has come true. And as one hoax after another hoax continues to be exposed, just like with this jobs report today, all of the Democrats and the Rhinos are then continue to pretend that they are victims when Donald Trump fires this Biden holdover, just as he should. To understand that the Democrats, they see themselves as they deserve to rule over you. They see the Constitution as it's in the way of their rule. Because for the Democrats, they see the government as the ultimate authority over your life as they make the rules through the deep state, these unelected bureaucrats that then choose what rules to enforce and what not to enforce. That very often it's not even your public officials who make these laws in the first place. And because they've convinced themselves that they are always right and that Donald Trump must be wrong because he's not part of the liberal elite, see, he's not part of the establishment. He's not part of the group that has decided they get to rule over you. This exclusive DC club is something that if you're in it, you know you're in it. And if you're not in it, you know you're not in it. There's no cards, there's no badge, there's no part of it, but you know. And these people that think that they have the right to rule over you, they see Trump as a problem and it's something that is in their way. And so they try to destroy him and ruin his businesses because this can never, ever happen. No one's allowed to ever challenge their rule and their establishment over you. The biggest threat to them is who Donald Trump is, a billionaire populist. And that will actually show just how deep the deep state has gone. And will do the worst thing that they think that they can do is that they think that if he exposes them and you realize that you don't need them, then they lose all their power. And we have Sean in here. He raises Sean hand. Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Huge populist movement. That's awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Sean. You're right on the money there. Is that it's really, see, they're not really after Donald Trump. Who they're really after is you, the American voters. And the moment that you realize that you can rally around like a billionaire populist like Donald Trump, all of a sudden they lose all of their authority and all their rules to control you. The Democrats, see, they don't believe in our Constitution at all. When they talk about a constitutional crisis or they talk about a threat to our democracy, what they really mean is a threat to their bureaucracy. Their threat to their government deciding every aspect of your lives. And this is what they fear the most, losing all of their power. So when they have to show that somebody like Donald Trump can never have authority, because if he does, they will take away everything that they have worked for. And so therefore, they have to destroy him, right? They have to go after his businesses. They have to go after his family. They have to go after him. If they have to throw him in jail, then they will throw him in jail. And if they have to make up charges that don't exist to make that happen, well, then under their minds, this is all justified. I mean, they shouldn't have any challenge to the rule whatsoever. They are the liberal elites. They are your betters. They are smarter than you. They have Ivy League degrees. They have a bunch of initials after their names. Them and the Democrat Party and the bureaucrats. But Donald Trump came back and Donald Trump fought and he proved the thing that they never thought that could ever be proved. And so because of this self-righteousness, this moral code that they have made up themselves, they are now then deciding that it is their just right to fight Donald Trump at every single step. And because the Democrats, because their side on the left thinks that they can go and they can do anything they want because they are just in their false sense of minority, then anything that they do is justified, including making up job reports and then going backwards on these job reports. And of course, the deep state and the mainstream media and all the Democrats were quick to run on this. And then Donald Trump correctly fired this lady who never should have been there really in the first place. As she was fired. So this is the Commissioner of the Labor Statistics that botched multiple job reports going all the way back to Joe Biden's administration. This is Eureka McGonier. It was one of Biden's appointees, and all these appointees need to be weeded out of the federal government. Don't know exactly how many, but thousands and thousands and thousands of these people are in this federal government. And we got to point to where enough is enough. As they will continue to try to do these kind of things, and continue to try to sabotage Donald Trump's administration. Of course, Axios, part of the fake news networks, they immediately jumped on this too. As Axios, they posted in their headlines that they're accusing Trump of firing the BLS commissioner for making downward revisions of the 2025 job data, saying that numbers were manipulated for political purposes. Well, yeah, that's exactly what Trump is saying. And Trump, again, is right. And they keep doubting him. But these are the way these people think. I can't stress this enough. They think that what they're doing is morally right. It doesn't matter if it's criminal or not criminal. And it doesn't matter if they even have to lie. Anything is justified because they are good. And Trump is bad. And that's why they have no qualms calling you a racist or a bigot or a homophobe or a transphobe, a white nationalist, an extreme MAGA Republican. Anything that's justified to shut you up so you cannot challenge their rule. And then the thing that really gives us away is that the revisions, they are never, ever one-sided. They never just go downwards like she has been doing. And this has happened right before the 2024 elections, as magically all these job numbers went skyrocketing and looking like Joe Biden had this really good economy. And then you remember Jerome Powell, also at the Federal Reserve, where he went and he also lowered interest rates for the Democrats right before the elections. So this is very suspicious, like these so-called experts were trying to manipulate in the benefits for the Democrat Party. But then after Donald Trump won, this is on November 25th, all of a sudden 818,000 jobs just disappear. Never existed. And then, of course, Jerome Too Late Powell is no better. He also refuses to reduce all the interest rates that should be following the lower inflations. He is using tariffs as the same excuse that they've been trying to say that Donald Trump would cause the economy to collapse if you ever implemented all these tariffs. But that didn't happen too. And now Jerome Powell is continuing to lie to the American voters and keeping interest rates up, costing us billions of dollars and really slowing down our markets. As you had the interest rates drop down, then of course businesses could do more investing into our economy, like building all the manufacturing plants here and upgrading their businesses and hiring more employees. The list goes on and on and on. But Jerome Powell is refusing to do so. And I see only one reason for it. You know, he is part of these elitists who think that it is their right to rule this government. And because they've convinced themselves all together, both the ones that are in the deep state, like the Powells, and then all the Democrats and the rhinos in the single uniparty of politicians have convinced themselves that they are right. Therefore, that, you know, he's just not going to do them because he's making up to justify the tariffs. Completely BS. The way inflation works is very simple. It's too much money chasing too few goods. That is the definition of inflation. It has nothing to do with tariffs, whatever. And this is what Donald Trump has proven, as they brought in over 150 billion back in July alone. And this number is just going to continue to keep getting bigger, and Powell needs to get out of the way. One of the other lies we've been told over and over again is about jobs. As we were told that we had to bring foreign people into this country to work here in the United States because United States citizens wouldn't work these jobs. Of course, another complete fabrication is being exposed. And this is J.D. Vance posting, I was told 6 months ago that Americans losing jobs and the foreign-borns gaining jobs is an irreversible demographic fact. Well, of course, that was a blatant lie too. And it turned out, just like with the border, just like with the economy, and now with all these jobs, we just needed a new president. And we need the deep state to get out of the way. As in just only 4 months, native-born American jobs have gone by 1.8 million. And then, of course, Gavin Newsom from California, who is trying desperately to put himself on the world stage so that he can go and make a run for the president in 2028 as the Democrats. And I hope they try it. His entire pitch is that he's trying to pretend that he's some kind of moderate Democrat. You know, he's the middle left. See, that's how all these radical leftist commies, they run when they go into the main part of the country. And he posted, this is what dictators do. Talking about Donald Trump firing this corrupt bureaucrat who did the jobs and lied about it. And then one huge jump for Trump is he's also with Gavin Newsom trying to push also with the jobs. in lying about what is happening there, he's also lying about the White House, just like Chuck Schumer and others have done. Donald Trump, he's promised to build a new ballroom in the White House because they didn't have enough space to host foreign dignitaries and everyone else that would come to the White House. So now it's going up from about 200 over to 600, and this is going to cost about 200 million. And right from the get-go, it was shown that Donald Trump was spending his own money with other donors to do this. This is not using tax dollars. Of course, the Democrats and like Chuck Schumer immediately lied to you, the American people, about what was happening. As Chuck Schumer immediately went on there and he blamed Doge, saying that Doge was cutting all these essential services from the United States so Donald Trump could build this building and have a new plane. Of course, both of those are blatant and easily proven lies. As immediately comes out, and Schumer knew this at the time, that Donald Trump was spending his own money, private money. That's why we don't need government permission. It's being donated to the U.S. taxpayers. Of course, Gavin Newsom is lying about this too, as he goes and he tries to go after Trump for building this new building in the White House and being generous. And Gavin Newsom poses, oh, thank goodness. This is the American people we're desperately pleading to do. I don't know if he's aware of this because the Democrats, they don't seem to be able to tie their shoes and chew gum at the same time. They think all you can ever focus on is one thing. And the thing that they always want to focus on, conveniently enough for them, is the thing that ever makes Republicans look bad. And they'll try to take that one fact that makes you look bad, and then want you to only look at that fact and nothing else. And in this case, this fact is a blatant lie. As responds correctly, Gavin Newsom as lying, as this is private money. But then this even gets even funnier, because at the exact same time that Gavin Newsom was trying to go after Donald J. Trump for the $200 million to build this new ballroom in the White House, Gavin Newsom is currently spending $1.2 billion, taxpayer dollars, on renovating the state's capital. You almost can't make this stuff up. Oh, he's trying to go after Trump for spending $200 million at the White House to build a new ballroom. And this happens to even be our own money. But if it wasn't, if it was tax dollars, which is not, then what's wrong with that? It's $200 million, as opposed to Gavin Newsom, who's not spending a single penny of his own money, and even $1.2 billion to build this new state capitol. This is why I really hope that the Democrats try to run him. Because this whole moderate Democrat being votes against Donald Trump, it hasn't worked for the last 10 years. And yet they're still trying to double down the same thing that hasn't worked, because that is really all they have. I mean, the Democrats, they can't run on a single issue that they're on the same side with the American voters on. I mean, what is it? They can't run the economy. They can't run on the border. They can't run on immigration. They can't run on a single subject. They can't run on women's rights. They can't run on law enforcement. They don't have a single issue that's on the right side of an 80-20 issue. So because of that, they decided to double down on hating Donald Trump. But really, it's not hating Donald Trump. Really, Donald Trump is in the way. Really, who they hate is you, the American people. Because you did not vote the way that they told you to vote. You voted for Donald J. Trump to be your president. After they told you he was a racist, after they told you he was a Nazi, after they told you he was a fascist, after they told you he was a threat to our bureaucracy, after he went in and he did the impeachment hoaxes 1 and 2, and then they did the Gene Carroll hoaxes and the 34 hoaxes and the January 6 hoaxes, hoax after hoax after hoax. And they all failed because the American people finally saw through it, as now we can show the same facts. But the Democrats, they doubled down on all of it. They have nothing to run on. And they've learned no lessons. Good. Continue to learn nothing. And with that, we're going up against a break. We come back. We're going to have a whole bunch more of the Democrats' reactions and then the judges' coup. They continue against Donald Trump. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. You won't want to miss it. This is the CASHLOREN Show.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2025, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage on all 3 of the major networks, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Folks, have you wanted to start a podcast but you just don't know where to begin? Podbeam is your all-in-one solution to host your podcast and distribute it all across the internet. With my code on the affiliate link down below, you will gain also 1 month free to try the Podbeam service. This is really your one-stop solution to hosting your podcast. Record it, you put it up to just a single upload. Then that upload will distribute to all of the main platforms all across the internet, including Apple and Spotify and many, many others. It will then also automatically share your podcast across all major social media, making your job easier so you can spend more time recording the podcasts that you love and less time managing them on the back end. Podbeam is your all-in-one solution for your podcast needs. Click on the link below, the CASHLOREN, and get your 1 free month today. The corporate media has lied to the American voters for such a long time that they have lost all their influence as a result. And this has also led to the rise of the independent creators, just like here on the CASHLOREN Show, where we take our spare bedroom and convert it into a studio. If you're enjoying this content, it will always be free, but you can continue to help support monetarily if you choose to do so. Click on the locals link. It is only $5 a month. This is just a cup of coffee. Not only will you be supporting an independent creator, but you'll be getting lots of free perks in addition to that as well, including exclusive articles and Sunday shows, and thanking you at the end of videos with your name recognition. Take a moment and consider and help support independent creators as we fight fake news. Go to locals right now, hit the support button for just a cup of coffee a month. It'll be worth every single penny, and you're getting lots of extra benefits too. We said right from the get-go that when Donald Trump came back, that the fake news and the rest of the mainstream media was going to absolutely lose their minds, all because it was going to expose how they have been lying to you, the American voters, for a very long time. Is the entire structure was going to collapse all around them. See, what Donald Trump exposed really was how fake the government and the deep state really was. The jobs report that came out earlier today was also based around a Biden appointee who lied to the American people to gain a certain outcome that they wanted to happen, meaning that they all hate Donald Trump together. But really, who they really hate is you, the American people, because you voted for Donald Trump when the elites told you not to. And they just can't stand it. I mean, this is just like when Hillary Clinton, when she couldn't accept that she lost to Trump in 2016. The liberal elites, they're just so arrogant. They have just such a sense of entitlement about them They truly believe that they are morally right. I mean, of course, they decide what is right and what is wrong based on their own weird morality of the day, but they actually truly do believe that anything they do is justified because the ends will justify the means. I mean, this is about social justice, and this is about equity and inclusion and, of course, indoctrination into the single uniparty government, which conveniently for the left is the ones that they see themselves as the right to rule over you. Sure, that is sure convenient for them. And Donald Trump exposed them that this is not what you, the American people, wanted. You had Trump, who won the popular vote and won all 7 swing states by a lot, and then gained ground on every single demographic except for Black women. He won with Hispanics, he won with Asians, he gained ground with white Americans, he gained all across South people America who came to this country legally, like Cuba and like Venezuela and other places who escaped communism, who wanted to escape what the Democrats are trying to bring here to the United States to have their permanent power over you. And because the Democrats, they have convinced themselves that they are morally right and they can't be wrong. See, it has to be Trump who's bad and evil, and then it has to be you for daring to vote for him when they told you not to. Well, because of that, they're going to try to find anything they can to justify their hatred for Trump. And then they can't find something to justify that hatred, they're going to make it up. And this is how this circle works with the deep state, who I call the three-headed beast from the DC abyss. Is you have the deep state, these unelected bureaucrats, they will leak information to fake news. Fake news with all the corporate media, CNN, ABC, NBC, New York Times, Washington Times, Political, Axios, LA Times, Washington Post, every single one of them on the back for the DNC. So the deep state leaks to the fake news. The fake news then runs their headlines. Then the Democrats, they quote these headlines, and then it goes back down the deep state, back up to the mainstream media, and the cycle of hoaxes goes over and over and over again. And then as they're caught and they're busted again and again, they just move on to the next hoax, not realizing that every time that they're caught in one of these hoaxes, they lose influence with you, the American people. Because the thing that the mainstream media relied on more than anything else was a monopoly on information. There was an entire generation that grew up on the mainstream media. And there's millions of you who didn't think that way at all. But if you could only turn on the TV, you could only see CNN or MSNBC, or open your paper, be the LA Times or New York Post, the Washington Post, and they were all saying the same thing. Even though they're all pretending to be independent of each other, they really were all just the same thing, repeating the same talking points. And the real devious, the real nasty lie from them is how they would lie to you. Because what they would often do is they'd often have a truth, and then they would marry it to that lie. And that's what happened here. So this is the exact same thing with this jobs report. And then this is going to be that cycle repeating itself over and over and over again. So you have a Biden appointee who has been wrong and lied to the American people, very likely over and over again, and now all of a sudden reduce these job reports, right? That gets out the fake news. Now fake news runs their pieces. So here's NBC. The U.S. job market was weak in July, and previous months were worse than thought. Sharp revisions of government data shows that the U.S. created just 33,000 jobs in May and June, while July numbers are soft too. See, this is to get back at Trump. And this is really to get back at you for voting for Trump. Because they told you that if you did, the economy was going to collapse. But the economy hasn't collapsed, so they have to make up their hoax. So this goes into NBC. That's leg 2. Now leg 3, back up to the Democrats and the Uniparty. As Nancy Pelosi quote tweets fake news from a fake expert, today's job report is a stark warning for America. With unemployment rising and cost markets skyrocketing, working families across the country are left to pay the price for Donald Trump Republicans' recklessly tariffs and the economy's chaos. No. Our economy is coming back. And that's they can't let you know. They can't let you know that when Joe Biden printed trillions of dollars out of nowhere and caused the massive amounts of inflation, when they tried to grow our government, when they opened our borders, and they let tens of millions of illegal aliens into this country, the Democrats can't let you know how much damage that did. Because once you realize how much damage they did to this country, they're going to lose more and more influence. And if this keeps up, there's not going to be a Democrat party left. But they've relied on this three-headed beast from the abyss, DC abyss, for decades. And it's only recently that we, the creators, have gone up. We were able to now expose how much they're lying. It is not until now that they can't do it anymore. Because the American voters, you, the independent thinkers, you used to think you were isolated because you could only get information from like CNN, ABC, New York Times, Washington Post. And so you think, I don't agree with these people. I don't think that's really true. But there is no other way to get the other side of the story, at least not out to the masses. Now the podcasts have started, and now all these independent creators are starting, like here on the CASHLOREN show. And because of that, they can no longer sway voters anymore. And we can show just how bad they're lying. Just like on this next part here is the other lie with the jobs, is also how they lied just about how foreign people need to come into our country. And that how American people just didn't want to do the jobs. That is not true at all, as this goes to show. Because since March, native-born employment has increased by 1.8 million jobs. In the same period, the foreign-born employment has decreased by 1.46 million. Yeah, they lied about that too. We're just getting started. As we go through, we continue to deport all these illegal aliens, and we secure our borders. Now, there's not been, I think, 3 months straight where there's not been releases into our country. You remember when Joe Biden was telling us that we needed a new bill, when really we needed was a brand new president in Donald J. Trump? Yeah, that was proven to be a lie too. Just like their job reports, just like their economy, just like with the eggs, just like with inflation, just like with tariffs, Trump was right on all of it. And we're only 6 months in. This is just going to keep continuing to get better. But the Democrats that continue to double down on all the same lies, using the same experts, lying to the same fake news networks, and now you have Chuck E. Cheese Schumer. He goes with he's mocking breaking. I did some research on Donald Trump's deep state and found that this photo of the real government employee responsible for the job loss numbers, showing a picture of Donald Trump. Trump should fire himself immediately. But that's not happening. You know who should fire themselves? And it's Chuck E. Cheese Schumer. Because he printed trillions of dollars. Remember, that was his administration. He was in charge of the Senate. The Democrats had the House. And Joe Biden was president. And what did? They printed trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. They caused massive amounts of inflation. They did a great amount of damage to our country, letting in tens of millions of illegal aliens that never ever should have been here in the first place. Now, Chuck E. Cheese Schumer should fire himself along with the rest of the Democrats, as they're going to lose more and more seats, I suspect. And of course, then Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren, she now has to jump in on this losing bandwagon too for the Democrats. Instead of helping people get good jobs, Donald Trump just fired the statistician who reported bad job data that wanted to be king doesn't like. Again, this is a Joe Biden appointed deep state hack who lied to the American voters to get to a conclusion that the deep state and the Democrats and their mainstream media wanted to get to. And they're so used to getting away with it. I mean, that's what's the real sheer arrogance of this. They're so used to lying to you and leaking this stuff to the mainstream media, and then the Democrats quoting this stuff. They're not used to being held responsible. The thing about all these federal government and these government jobs is how they brag about how you get these government jobs. You can't just get fired. It doesn't matter how incompetent you are. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you make. No one's ever held responsible for what they do. In fact, most of the time they get promotions. But that's not the case anymore. Now we are going to hold every single one of them responsible for what they've done. And this is also going on to the Federal Reserve, where the Biden appointee, another one, Adriana Kugler, has just resigned from the Federal Reserve Government Board. And this is now going to open up for Donald Trump to put somebody of his own making, of his own choosing on there. This will give more pushback against Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve, who should be lowering interest rates. His excuse because of tariffs is absolute nonsense and easily proven false, as everything they said about the tariffs have been 100% wrong. And then we have this next story up. I just see the clock. We're going to have this next story here where the Democrats, as their hoaxes are being exposed, are now starting to collapse and they're starting to turn on themselves. The party of unity and joy is finding none. We're going to talk about what happened in Chuck Schumer's office today as the Democrats decided to raid their own party's office. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more right after this greedy profit break. This is the CASHLOREN Show.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2025, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage on all 3 of the major networks, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Folks, TRexPets.com is your home for your animals' needs, from their food to their toys to any other accessories. You can find it all over at TRexPets.com. Stop giving your money to these woke box stores who don't care about your values and push all this woke nonsense garbage. Enough is enough. Over at TRexPets.com, they are America First, conservative, loving family, guaranteed to be woke free. That is over at TRexPets.com. Go there today, sign up, and with your $50 purchase, you'll receive a free gift with your order. That is over at TRexPets.com. Put your money where your values are, guaranteed to be woke free, unlike these giant big box stores that put America last. Go to TRexPetStores.com right now and buy your dog food, your cat food, and other supplies. Head over right now over at TRexPets.com. That is T-Rex.Pets.com. The corporate media has lied to the American voters for such a long time that they have lost all their influence as a result. And this has also led to the rise of the independent creators, just like here on the CASHLOREN Show, where we take our spare bedroom and convert it into a studio. If you're enjoying this content, it will always be free, but you can continue to help support monetarily if you choose to do so. Click on the locals link. It is only $5 a month. This is just a cup of coffee. Not only will you be supporting an independent creator, but you'll be getting lots of free perks in addition to that as well, including exclusive articles and Sunday shows, and thanking you at the end of videos with your name recognition. Take a moment and consider and help support independent creators as we fight fake news. Go to locals right now, hit the support button for just a cup of coffee a month. It'll be worth every single penny, and you're getting lots of extra benefits too. There we go. Let me get my buttons right. As we have the Democrats have been completely melting down, and their party that used to be the party of joy and used to be the party of unity is none of those things anymore. When Donald Trump, when he came back and he won in 2024, this broke the Democrat Party to levels that I have never seen before. I mean, even back to 2016, when they didn't think that Hillary Clinton could lose. But after that, they thought that they had learned their lesson, and they were going to make sure that Donald Trump or any other billionaire populist would never, ever make it back to being president or ever having any real power again. They thought that they had destroyed him with the impeachment hoaxes, with the New York felony hoaxes, with Gene Carroll hoaxes, with the January 6th hoaxes, with the boxes hoaxes, one after another. Suckers and losers, 9 bullets, one after another, they would just make up to try to take down Trump. Because he, in their minds, could never, ever, ever come back in power. Because he was a threat to what they say their democracy. But really what it is was a threat to their bureaucracy, a threat to their permanent rule over you. And now that it has happened, now they're all on damage control and they're all trying to blame each other. And then the other ironic and very funny part about this is that the Democrats, as they got more radical, more leftist, and more crazy, they push more and more people out of their party. And now they have who that they can run in 2028. I mean, who's going to run in the midterms? See, all the moderates, all the people that would appeal to the middle are no longer a part of their Democrat Party anymore. I mean, they went so far, they even lost like Tulsi Gabbard in RFK and Elon Musk. I mean, crazy. But that's exactly what the Democrats are. And then the other side that the Democrats have done, because they've gone so crazy, is now they've also recruited people who are crazier than they are. I mean, the new left, the new radical Democrats, they think Chuck Schumer is not crazy enough. They think Hakeem Jeffries is not communist enough. They want to be more left. They want to be more communist. Open and blatantly. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. Of course, in the Democrat side, they're still pretending that the word communist is a dirty word and they don't believe in it. So they just rebrand it to other things. They will call it liberalism, or they will call it progressivism. They will call it democratic socialist. They'll call it with their activism. All their other isms, all they really are is just repackaged Marxism. It's a worldview, and Marxism always leads to communism. And communism always leads to poverty, slavery, and death. It always takes away your rights and gives it to the people that never should have had the power in the first place. Well, that's exactly why the Democrats love it. It's because it gives them permanent power over you. Exactly what they crave. Everything else they say, everything else they lie about, is all to that single objective, the power to rule over you. Because they, through their Marxist lens, has convinced themselves that they are right, that they are just, that they have the moral high ground, and that anything that stands against their rule, well, then that must be their problem, whoever's standing against the Democrats. Right? Then they must be a racist or a bigot or a homophobe, transphobe, a white nationalist, an extreme MAGA Republican. So they branched the company and the country into two different groups. Normal Marxism would be the haves and have-nots. But with the Democrats, it's the exact opposite. They've done it by race. So they're trying to group everybody that's people of color against all those who are white. And then when they kicked everybody out of their party, and then all of a sudden now they're trying to recruit the white people that they kicked out back to their country, they can just kick them out again and backstab them. They've learned nothing. And as they get more extreme and they start pushing more of the Democrats out, did you see what happened today? This story just cracked me up to no end. So this is in the Chuck Schumer, this is in his New York office. And these are the new, more radical Democrats who've decided that people like Chuck Schumer are not crazy enough for them. They need to be more socialists. They need to be more communist. They should be to the left of Zoran Mondani. And because of that, because Chuck Schumer is not insane enough, the Democrats, they did a stand-in, a mass civil disobedience in Chuck Schumer's office today in New York City. And you had other Democrat officials, such as Tiffany Cabin and other elected officials, join in the activist groups. This is the Jewish Voices for Peace. This is absolutely insane. The Jewish Voices for Peace. Why? Because they're calling for the stop arming of Israel and let Gaza live. They're saying that they're a Jewish group and they're actively protesting against Israel. Yes, this is real. And the Democrats and all their free Palestine buddies are more than happy to go along with this because, again, they want to drive the Democrat Party more left. They want to get rid of Chuck Schumer. It's very ironic that Chuck Schumer has spent his entire life backstabbing America and trying to build to this communist utopia. And now that communist utopia wants to throw him out to the dogs. Kick him out. The irony is incredibly thick. And then Tiffany Cabin and some of the others, when they refuse to leave and they then go and they get themselves arrested, what will happen? Probably nothing. I'm sure they want to be arrested. Because then they get more time in front of a camera, right? They get their rebellious moment, right? Standing up to the man. And I'm sure they'll just be kicked loose. And then nothing will ever happen to them. Maybe an investigation that goes nowhere. But I doubt they'll see a fine, a single day in jail. But they get headlines. And they get to put pressure on Chuck E. Cheese Schumer. Now, what I would really like to know is who's funding this stuff. Because when they all sit down together, they all have essentially the same shirt on, this black shirt, and then it has this yellowish, they have different words, but they have these yellow letters. And then all their signs look like they're printed from the same spot. They're all the whole thing is branded. And this is exactly what a private company would do to brand their company. But they're branding these protests. And then they have these people in there and they're all singing these songs and they're all doing these chants and they're all memorized together. And this is all choreographed. This is not real. This is not an authentic protest. This is staged, but it's staged by who? That's the real question that needs to be answered. And speaking of staged protests and trying to go against not just the Democrats, but their biggest enemy, you, the American people, and Donald J. Trump, you now have these activists who are pretending to be judges, now just flat out ignoring the SCOTUS's rule. So this is, of course, another Biden-appointed judge, surprise, surprise, blocked Trump's administration from ending the temporary protective status of illegal aliens from Nigeria, Honduras, and Nepal. Very clear for a second. She has no authority to do this whatsoever. Zero. SCOTUS has already ruled on this, and she never did in the first place. Okay, these unelected judges have no authority over the foreign policy of the United States. If she wants power over the foreign policy, then she needs to run for office. Either she needs to become the president of the United States or get elected by Congress to be Secretary of State. Not an unelected bureaucrat, a single one on a bench that gets to decide the entire foreign policy for all of the United States of America? I don't think so. This is blatantly illegal. No authority whatsoever. And her excuse for this is absolutely wild, because talking about making stuff up is because she decided that the Trump administration can't deport him. This is her reason why. It's because in her mind, enforcing our laws on deportation is the same thing as the Atlantic slave trade. Yeah, it's the same thing as people putting slaves against their will on ships and sending them over to America to be in slave labor. In her mind, it's the exact same thing. This is insane to a level that's hard to comprehend and describe. A single judge just decides that you're not allowed to enforce these laws and signs a nationwide injunction with just make it up on top of their head for their excuse. To these unelected judges, they are the ones that are creating this constitutional crisis. And to the point, it's almost like they're daring Trump to ignore them. Because you know exactly what will happen when Trump does out openly. Is that they will scream, it's a constitutional crisis. And see, Trump is being a threat to our democracy. And I told you Trump was trying to be a king. I mean, that's the way exactly what they will say. You know, see, Trump is a threat. Just like we told you. We, the Democrats and the Uniparty, we told you not to elect Donald Trump. We told you that if you did, all these bad things that will happen that haven't actually happened. So because they haven't happened, now they have to make them up. They have to create the problem, but like with these judges, and then pretend that they're somehow a victim of the problems that they themselves created. And it gets even more insane for this judge as she goes over and she ignores a section here in this TPS ruling on more insane than the transatlantic slave trade is that the statute of jurisdiction in her case even says that she doesn't have the authority to do this. And she just ignored it like it wasn't there. They are the threat to our democracy, to our constitutional republic. These unelected judges who don't care about our laws, who don't care about our constitution, who they are activists. And of course, she would look exactly like you would expect. And what does Donald Trump decide to do? He can ignore him. This will quickly be overturned. There is no way that this stands. And where is SCOTUS? Why is SCOTUS not taking care of this today? And this should immediately be removed. They've already said that she can't do this. Where's Congress? Why is Congress not removing her from the bench? And at what point is this impediment? See, judges, they only have immunity if they're doing official acts. If they're openly and blatantly breaking the law, is that criminal? I don't know, but I think the DOJ should look into this. You have that judge who helped an illegal alien escape capture and they got arrested. This is a million times worse. Now, what are they going to sign next? That Donald Trump has to release them all from prison? I mean, how far does this go? These judges are going to try to write rules that say that Donald Trump's ICE can't even arrest illegal aliens? Don't doubt me that they will try this. If this doesn't stop, they will get more crazy and more crazy. This is a judicial coup. And the mainstream media, they're more than happy to run cover for this because this is exactly what they want. They are in bed with the Democrats, and they are in bed with this deep state and the people like these judges. Just like the Democrats and just like the judges, they think that the law is malleable, that they get to pick and choose which laws they do and they don't enforce. With their false sense of fake virtue signaling and their moral superiority. And this leads to Tulsi Gabbard again. And she's released a lot of classified documents. And as she digs deeper into what not just that Joe Biden and Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Clinton did with Russia, but now it's digging even deeper. See, there was an old program, and this was called Operation Mockingbird. And this was a thing with the CIA. And what it was supposedly supposed to do was this was supposed to affect media. Essentially turn media into propaganda, not news networks. Does that sound very familiar with all our corporate media? Have they been acting like news agencies, or have they been acting like propagandists for the Democrat Party? I bring this up because Tulsi Gabbard says that in her documents now that this Project Mockingbird that was supposed to end decades ago never ever ended. Color me not shocked at all. The way that all the media, they're all in the bag for the Democrats. Virtually every single one of them are more than happy to push whatever point the Democrats want to push, without any interest whatsoever in the actual news. They just look at what we can do from like our spare bedrooms in our houses and what we can research and we can find out, we can show to you, the American voters. Now imagine if we had billions of dollars and desk after desk after desk of researchers and analytics, AI teams, what we could pump out. But you have these citizen activists that are able to put out so much information that the deep state didn't want to know in such a short amount of time. That's why they keep talking about misinformation. That's why they keep talking about disinformation. And that's why they keep talking about hate speech. See, that mainstream media and the deep state, they don't care about any of that because they're the ones that are doing misinformation and disinformation. What they really care about is that they don't have any competition. What they really want to silence is the truth that they don't want you to know. That's the real goal. And they were that close to succeeding. Even during Biden's administration, they were trying to push the misinformation board. The biggest mistake that they did is when they hired in Pocahontas to go when they went and ran Mary Poppins to go and run this new board, is they screwed up and they called it what it actually was. Normally they would call it like, I don't know, Protection of Democracy or the Information Freedom Act or some kind of lie like that, where it's the opposite of what it actually is. But when they called it the misinformation, all of a sudden everybody realized, holy crap, they're trying to take away our First Amendment. And the public got outraged, the public fought back and won. Good. Now the same thing, this Mockingbird here that was supposed to be done years ago has been alive and well. What do you think? Do you think the CIA ever stopped working with the media? I mean, do they have a single journalistic bone in their body? Is there a single story that they're honest on? We can do endless on the show. Nonstop, we can show story after story after story from the mainstream media. We can't get through them just in a single day. Of all these stories, one after another. It's just basically just the mainstream media lying, and then the side that shows the truth. Still, we're up in an hour and still got all this left. Every single day, the stack gets deeper and bigger. And that's how much they're lying. And that's just me by myself. Imagine an entire team, what we could put out. This is why they're scared. This is why the deep state is terrified. This is why the Democrats are lying through their teeth. And this is why the mainstream media is doubling down. they know the gig is up. But they're so deep, they're so invested that they have no other choice but to try to continue to do so and hope that two things happen. One, that the Democrats can take back the House and effectively do their best to reduce Trump's presidency from 4 years to 2 years. And then on the other is hopefully take back the presidency, and they can go, but the deep state can go right back to deep stating. But the Democrats, they're sub 20%. And no one listens to the mainstream media anymore unless you're a hardcore leftist Democrat. Our battle, we won one, and we won another. But the war is far from over. We have a lot we have to do. We have to win back the House and keep it. And we do have a very good map. And we have to take back the presidency. And then continue to implement all of Donald Trump's administrations. And then also put so much pressure on these rhinos that they stop backstabbing him. And with that, we're at the top of the hour again. But we're going to be doing something new. Is we're going to start doing an after show exclusively at Locals and on Rumble. Is immediately after I end this. So if you're interested in that, I will share to X. Come over and join us, and then consider supporting the show. It is only $5 a month to help independent creators like here on the CASHLOREN Show keep our lights on and keep making content for you every single day. As we will not be silenced, we will continue to expose the fake news networks, making the liberals cry tears that are saltier than American fry. And with that, we're gonna end. We're gonna go over to Rumble and see if I can get this technology to work today, and then we'll be back again on Monday. This is the CASHLOREN Show, and thank you for my supporters. They'll be on the screen here in just a moment.